Hey everybody, this is Jacob Tucker and welcome back to another Flow video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about metadata views and how they get implemented in non-fungible token contracts in Cadence 1.0. So as many of you know, or probably have been coding for a long time now, metadata views is basically the Cadence NFT metadata standard because metadata is all on chain in Cadence. So unlike languages like Solidity, where most metadata is stored off chain in something like IPFS, where the IPFS CID or link is stored directly in the contract to save storage costs. In Cadence, metadata is stored directly in the contract because storage is so cheap, and so it makes sense to store it in the contract, and it's more decentralized, it's more available, directly in the contract, stuff like that. So there's pros and cons to each. I won't dive into that, but regardless, I'm going to show you how to implement metadata views in your non-fungible token contract right now. So just want to quick note, you can go to this link, which I'll put in the description. This is a link to, and by the way, I'm recording this video before Cadence 1.0 is actually released. So some of these links may change, or maybe this video itself may even change a little bit, but still worth going through. So anyways, in the description, I'm going to put a link to this. And this is basically, you can see an example NFT contract with views already made. So honestly, I would just recommend going and copy and pasting the get views and resolve view functions into your NFT resource, then going down here and copying the resolve contract view and get contract views function into your contract as well. Or you can stick around in this video and I'm going to give a more in-depth explanation of all these things. So what I have here is an example NFT contract that is just missing these functions. And I'm going to walk through this. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because it does get a little complicated at some points. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So just for the record, also, the reason we have to do this anyway, because it's actually required by the non-fungible token standard, is because if you see, example NFT implements the non-fungible token contract interface. And if we go there, you can see that the non-fungible token contract interface implements the view resolver interface, and view resolver, if we go to that, requires contract views and resolve contract view. So we have to add those functions into our contract. So I'm actually going to go ahead and copy get contract views into our contract, and I'm also going to go ahead and copy resolve contract view into our contract, and we're going to implement both. So the first one we're going to tackle is the resolve contract view. And in here, what we're going to do is we're going to switch on the view type. The reason for that is because view type can be a whole lot of things. I'm actually I'm trying to remember what exactly view type is. Actually, you know what? I'm going to scroll up here and look at it because I'm like completely... Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot. View type is just what type of data we're looking for. So, and I'll dive into that in a second. Sorry, I just had like a total brain fart. Because I'm like also cheating and that sometimes messes with my head. But view type is essentially the type of view we're looking for. So the way that metadata view works in Cadence is there's a bunch of different views that you can implement. So for example, a serial view, what that means is that your NFT implements a certain serial number, or maybe an additions view where your NFT is a certain addition. Or maybe this one, which we're going to implement now, is NFT collection data, which is a certain view that describes the data about your collection. So we're going to do that now. So we're going to say let collection data equals metadata views dot NFT collection data. And this requires a few things. This requires a storage path, which is self.collection storage path. You should have that in your contract. And actually, I'll show you up here. Sorry, I hope I'm not giving you like an eye seizure by scrolling. But collection storage path. So we already have that in our contract. So we're just going to put that right here. Also a public path, which is self.collection should be public path. And then we're going to have public collection, which is a type that represents a reference to the example NFT collection. And actually, one thing I will note here is it's just easier to write. You don't even have to put example NFT here. You can just put a reference to collection because we're in the same contract, so it knows what type we're talking about. We also have to put public linked type, which is a type that represents, again, a reference to collection. And then lastly here, we put create empty collection function, which is going to be a function type that returns a non-fungible or any resource that implements non-fungible token dot collection like that. And then we're going to open this up and say return example NFT dot create empty collection, where the NFT type is type the NFT resource type like that. Okay, and we do have a bit of errors here. Why are we getting errors here? I'm trying to, let me just actually just make sure I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just going to copy and paste this just because I probably did something wrong. No, okay, we're still getting errors here. What is our error? Create empty collection function. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Or maybe I have to say return collection data. No, why am I getting an error here? Let me copy this. Still getting a weird error. This is bizarre. I feel like this is just my VS Code being weird. So I'm actually going to leave this for now because, yeah, I actually don't even think this is my fault. So I'm just going to leave this. Oh, I know why. It's because I forgot to say the case. I forgot to put the case in our switch statement. So the case is this is a type of sorry, I got ahead of myself. Metadata views .nft collection data. Okay, so if we're requesting this type, then we're going to return this data. Okay. Otherwise, just if the switch doesn't exist, we're just gonna return nil. Or if the type we're looking for doesn't exist, we're just gonna return nil. Okay. So the other case we're gonna add here is case type metadata views .nft collection display. So this is a bit more of a this is a less technical view. In this view, we're sort of returning like the type data or like storage path public path data of our collection, so that again, like with the metadata views, if we don't exactly know what exact type we have, we can at least read like generic sort of metadata view information about it. And so here, like having the storage path and public path is really helpful because you can go into a user's account, look at a certain storage path, and know that this collection is probably going to be there, right? So, and then you can, of course you can verify that, but whatever. NFT collection display is more for like maybe like a marketplace that wants to display a default name, description, image, stuff like that. So inside of here, we can say, let, for example, a media, which will be like a media file, equals metadata views .media, like this, and then we can put a file. And I'm actually going to copy the content over here because I don't have my own file. But let's say we have a file which is a metadata views .http file, and then you literally just provide a URL to that file, provide the media type. You can also, just to get rid of this for a second, you can also say metadata views .IPFS file, and in here you just have to pass a CID, I think. And that's just like your IPFS CID. So you could also pass that here as well, if your thing's stored on IPFS. But anyways, that's the media type. And then we can say return metadata views .nft collection NFT collection display, and return a name like example collection. We can say description, which is like this is a cool NFT collection, right? We can say external URL. That's another one where I'm just going to link to like our Academy site. That's like a URL to your website. Square image, that would be media. Banner image, that's media. And then socials is the last one, where you can provide, I think, Discord, Twitter, website, whatever you want. So like you can provide Twitter, a link to your Twitter. You can provide Discord, which is a link to your Discord. You can provide, I don't know, Reddit, whatever you want. So that all goes here. But Twitter and Discord are the really popular ones. Oh, and also I forgot to. So external URL actually it's not just like a string. You actually have to say metadata views .external URL, and it's passed in like so. Okay. And also, oh, this is the same thing. I forget. So that is also like you need this. As well. So we can just copy that for all three of these. But you get the idea, right? Okay. Cool. Okay. So now that we've done that, we've implemented our contract views. So anyone that wants to read data about our smart contract can see this is the NFT collection data, and this is the NFT collection display. And so get contract views is just very simple. It just specifies what views we have supported. So we already know what those are. We're just going to return an array where we say type, and we're going to copy this type, which is metadata views.collection display. And then the other one, which is a metadata views collection data, and this one is collection display. Done. So that function is super easy, actually. Okay, so now that we've done this at the contract level, we now have to implement views at the NFT level, and this is actually new in Cadence 1.0. So yeah, you probably haven't had this yet. But this is actually pretty similar. I'm just going to copy the two functions in here. One is get views. Just like instead of get contract views, it's get views. And instead of resolve contract view, it's instead just resolve view. So this is now pertaining to the NFT, not the contract, or not like the collection as a whole. So we're going to do resolve view, and actually just to get rid of this error, I'm just going to return an empty array here. For resolve view, again, we're going to switch the view based on what view we want. The first one, which is the most popular by far, is metadata views.display. So in order to do that, we're going to say case type metadata views.display. And again, this is like a simple name, description, image of your NFT for things like marketplaces. So we can return metadata views.display. Say name, which is self.name, because we actually have it up here. You can see right there. We also have description, self.description, and also thumbnail. I think it's the other one. Yeah, thumbnail, and that's a metadata views.hdp file or IPFS file, whatever you want, where the URL is self.thumbnail, because we also have thumbnail here, which is a string, so that works great. And also we can return nil if the type doesn't exist. Okay. Or if the view doesn't exist. So that's display right there. That's one of the most popular ones. That's what a lot of marketplaces use to show, name, description, image of your NFT. The next one is additions. I'm actually I'll show you for a second. The reason I'm not gonna code this one out myself is because I actually think that additions is relatively rare. I don't really see a lot of addition contracts, but additions is if you have some like addition info by your NFT, like it's like a mint edition or like a I don't, I'm not really sure, like a rare edition or whatever you want. You can put that here. Essentially, you can return an array of editions. Because this is only like one NFT, I believe this is only like one edition really, but like maybe your NFT contains other editions or something. Anyways, you can put a name, a number, and a max. You can see here there's actually a comment. There is no max number of NFTs that can be minted from this contract. So the max edition field is set to nil. So it's set to nil because there's no max number, but whatever. Addition's not that I don't really use addition that much. If you want to, it's there though. So the next one is metadata views serial. I actually use this one a lot. It's very helpful. This just specifies that there is a serial addition, that there is a serial in this NFT. So we can return metadata views.serial, and you just put in self.id. Metadata views. So the serial for this NFT is just its ID. Of course, you maybe you also have a field here that's called like let serial or something, but we don't here, so we're just going to use the ID as the serial. Okay. The next one is royalties. This is a super important one. So if you want royalties on your NFT, so this is where you specify like on a secondary marketplace, if you want 5% of sales to go back to your contract, right? Then you need this. So royalties, and it's actually easy to implement, which is nice. We just say return metadata views dot royalties, where you pass in self.royalties, and it's actually made so easy because we have royalties up here. We store an array of metadata views dot royalties, and I can actually probably show you. Let me actually just quickly show you how this is, you know what, we'll come back to this. I'm just going to quickly complete the other ones, and then I'll show you royalties, and then we'll be done. But let me show you the other one. So the other one is case type meta views.external URL. My fingers are getting so good at typing metadata. It's like I'm typing it like under a second now because I'm typing it so much. But external URL where we can return metadata, messed up that time, views.external URL, where you literally just pass in a URL. So I'm just going to pass in, academy.ecdow.org. So whatever URL you want, right? Then we have to pass in metadata views.nft collection data. And you probably recognize this one. It's because we already implemented this one at the contract level. So sometimes if you receive an NFT in your Cadence code, you want to know more about its collection. And so we can, put data here, but we've already actually implemented this at the contract level. So we can say return example NFT dot resolve contract view, where the resource type is just the type of this NFT, which is just, very simple, just type resource NFT. And the view type is the view, right? The view right here. Because this view is NFT collection display, so we can just pass that through and it's going to return the correct one. And we can actually do this exact same thing for collection display, and there it is. So pretty simple. The last one here, which I also will say is pretty important, which is why we're going over it, is metadata views traits. And traits just specifies all the different traits on your NFT. So like when was it minted? Is it what rarity is it? What I don't know. Does it have an orange hat or something like that? That can all be included here. So in order to do that, what you say is let traits view equals metadata views dot dictionary to traits, and the dictionary is self.metadata. Now, really, what traits are here is like we have a metadata dictionary, which is pretty common in Cadence, because if you just have a bunch of like string to string mappings of metadata, or like string to integer, string to any struct in this case, where we're just mapping like rarity to like legendary and whatever, hat to orange or whatever it is, we're going to convert this dictionary to actual traits that can be read by marketplaces. So you're passing in your dictionary, and you actually have an excluded names here. So if there's certain strings in here that you don't want to be included in your traits, you can do that by saying let excluded names equals, for example, foo. If foo was like a string in there, or like minted time. So if minted time was in your metadata dictionary, you can exclude that, whatever. So that's just stuff to exclude. And then you can add, and again, this is just for an example, but you can add, any traits you want. So like, let's say for example, I don't know, let's say for example, in this scenario, there was no minted time in our dictionary. What we could do is say, let's just go back. Let's say, there actually is a minted time thing in our dictionary, but we want to represent it sort of specially. We can say let minted time trait equals metadata views dot trait, where the name is minted time, the value is self.metadata at minted time, but we're going to say that the display type, or actually the display type is date, like that. And then there's also like a rarity thing you can fill in, but we can just leave that nil. But what we're doing here is, if we just had included minted time directly, it would have just been like a normal trait. But we can actually specify that it's actually a display type of date here, and then we can pass that into the traits view by saying traits view dot add trait minted time trait, and it'll just add it to the traits view here. So then we can go ahead and just return traits view, and we're done. Now in our get views, it's actually pretty straightforward. We just return all the different types that we just supported. So I'm just going to copy and paste that just to not bore you, but there it is. And so I did promise I would go back and review the royalties. So let's do that now. I'll show that to you. So I'm just going to pull up an example here so that you can see it directly. But when we go in and mint an NFT, you can see the royalties are created right here. So we declare an empty array of metadata views.royalty. And what we do is for each royalty, which is a metadata views.royalty, there's a receiver, which is basically a capability to receive payment. So like, for example, flow token payment. There's cuts. Now this is basically like 0.05 or anything below 1, so it's a percentage. And then there's a description of why that person's receiving the royalties, so that marketplaces can, for example, display these are the royalties and this is why they're getting them. So this is how you would incorporate that. And again, you can check it out in the link in the description. But anyways, I hope that was helpful for all of you. Again, you could have just copy and paste this in your own application, but I think it's maybe helpful for me to describe it. And with that being said, you can also see we have no more errors here, so that's great. Anyways, hope you have a great rest of your day. And if you have any questions, make sure to join the Emerald City Discord, and I'll answer them for you. All right, bye.